Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 24. What you see is what you get, and the Wargames Atlantic. Ivan was online, then he disappeared. He never came into the stream. My wife's angry, and my computer crashed right before this, so this may be a cursed stream. Is it because I'm wearing this gray rabbit or cat suit? I think so. Gray cats are bad luck. What can you do? So, yeah, I don't really know what to say. Just you gotta watch out, I guess, when you're talking about current scandals. Wargames Atlantic used to be, well, okay, they didn't used to be, but the owner, if you haven't heard, is pretty interesting. The owner, or like the runner of Wargames Atlantic, used to be the guy who ran Wargames Factory, which kind of makes sense if you think about it, because a lot of those Wargames Atlantic kits kind of look like reissues of the Wargames Factory kits. It's kind of updated. Or in the case of the skeletons, in Bigified. And apparently he ran afoul of the Chinese manufacturing process during their Kickstarter, and the Chinese manufacturer stole all their IP and resold it himself and cut them off, and then they couldn't fulfill their Kickstarter, and then everyone was angry, and he lost a lot of money, and he was sad, and everyone hated him, as we do whenever a Kickstarter goes afoul. So he did something amazing. He changed his name to something else, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And he started Wargames Atlantic with the help of a friend, a Canadian friend. Everyone needs a Canadian friend, so that's pretty cool. And he had to disguise his name, so that people, like his bad rep, didn't follow him. And then he was able to become really successful, and now he's going to pay back everyone who kickstarted but never got fulfilled. So that's pretty cool. Pretty darn phenomenal, that kind of news. And I was going to talk about WYSIWYG. What is WYSIWYG, you say? I don't understand. WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So if you look at this, oh, that's right, my focus isn't there. This little miniature, if you can see, has a sword and a little stone. So that means they should represent someone who is wielding a sword and can do stony things. Maybe throw a stone, or in this case, it's like a little rune stone, so you can cast a spell. They clearly look like a wizard. They have a little book on their back. So you should say, if you look at this miniature on the tabletop, you should say, that is a wizard with a sword. And that's how they should exactly perform. They should perform like a wizard with a sword. So they shouldn't act like a lady with a crossbow, like this one. And vice versa. A lady with a crossbow shouldn't act like a wizard with a sword. And sometimes it gets tricky when you're doing things like playing a game of Mordheim, and you're looking at the opponent's units, and they did some really cool creative stuff, like maybe they're using Gashapon or something, but you have no idea what they have or what they're doing or what they are, and it gets kind of tricky. And so you can ask your opponent, what's this, what's this, what's this, but it kind of slows the game down, so you just kind of toss your minis at it and hope for the best, which actually is my play strategy for everything, even if I know what the units are. Last night in Mordheim, I played against a three-way. So one was a Cult of the Possessed, and the other was, I don't know, some dudes with rapiers, where they were a 1B list, not a 1A list, which means they weren't official Mordheim lists. They were like the unofficial Mordheim lists. And the guy playing the Cult of the Possessed had his miniatures done up very nicely, and everything was exactly what you'd think when you saw it. And same with the guy with the rapier dudes. Crossbow guys had crossbows, duelists had two swords, things like that. But I didn't know how deadly a Chaos Spawn was, and that's my fault. I should have read up on the Chaos Spawns, but I didn't. So I got worked over by that Chaos Spawn. I was playing Undead, and I had ghouls that looked like ghouls. And they were ghouls. And they were hungry, but they could not, for the life of them, touch that Chaos Spawn. It was phenomenal. And yeah, so it was a 3-way. I routed. The guy with the Cult of the Possessed routed, and Rapier Man won the day. Mostly had some amazing armor saves. I've never seen so many successful armor saves in wartime. He was typically either a 5+ or a 6+, I think, with his dudes, and he just was rolling hot on those. So I was not able to overwhelm him. But yeah, it was nice because he had WYSIWYG. So I knew what he had, he knew what I had, and it made the game a lot smoother, I feel. WYSIWYG is great. Coming clean and fulfilling your Kickstarters, also great. Good on Wargames Atlantic. And they do great kits. Great kits that you could easily WYSIWYG. So if you got halflings with pole arms in a game, you can easily do it with Wargames Atlantic. You can easily make it look like a halfling with a pole arm. If you have a halfling armed some other way, maybe bows is good, slings are good. But I think they got like a short sword on that kit. I think that's about it though. Maybe a spear. So if you want like a halfling with like a, I don't know, crossbow, you gotta kit bash. And you should kit bash for WYSIWYG. It's great. So that's it. Yeah, that's all I really have to say on my own. I was hoping to have some banter. I was going to talk to Ivan about his gaming games that he writes, if he prefers WYSIWYG or not, if he feels too important. Games like 5 Parsecs from Home, harder to WYSIWYG. And you can, but you'd have to be pretty dedicated. And oh yeah, like Necromunda. Necromunda was another game people could WYSIWYG, but it's tough. You have to rip the arms off your dudes whenever they get equipment changes. That's the big one. Equipment changes. It's tough. Tough to WYSIWYG. You'll have to do that more time too, really. Actually, I'm a liar. I have a Dreg who has a dagger, and that's what he's armed with. But he's also armed with a bow, and his miniature doesn't have a bow. That's not WYSIWYG. But I also don't really want to modify that miniature because it's for Underworlds. So what I want to do is build another Dreg who will have a bow. So everyone knows that's a Dreg with a bow. It's important now because my Dreg guy, he got a hand injury. So he lost a weapon skill. So now he's got to shoot. So he needs to look like a shooter. So I best build one of those. And that, yeah, no one's in chat. I got no co-host. And I'm kind of sweaty in this cat suit. I'm a sweaty dude. So I'm going to sign off. Hope you all have a good night. Take care.